Maybe for now. Alright, test one.
Hi, my name's Matt Widgery from mattwidgery.com. Today's episode is a special episode dedicated to Ken Wheeler, the angry photographer. If you don't know the angry photographer's stuff, I recommend that you search out his channel on YouTube because it is fantastic. The guy's very knowledgeable, witty, acerbic, funny, and generally a very, very intelligent guy. If you look at the stuff that he does about the Nikon cameras, that gives you a huge amount of insight into just how knowledgeable this guy is. He's encyclopedic in the stuff that he knows, and it doesn't just stop at Nikon cameras, it's all kinds of cameras too. But not only that, he's a real philosopher, a real student of art and of composition and of beauty and of the structure of what makes our pictures work well from a very objective and clear standpoint, not the subjectivist nonsense that a lot of us are subjected to these days, where it's kind of, the eye is, beauty's in the eye of the beholder and it's all fine and it's all relative, it's all valid. He goes back to, the rules of fire, the rules of composition, rule of thirds, leading lines, things that are balanced and in harmony in the pictures, and speaks with real authority. He really understands his subject. He's studied Greek and the ancients and really understands his stuff very, very well. So check out his stuff. But this video is not just to big up Ken Wheeler, the angry photographer. This video is a response video. He actually made a video that went up yesterday as I'm recording this called Douchebag Photography. And in that video, he basically lumped point and shoot cameras and mirrorless cameras together and said that in both cases, neither could hold a candle to a dSLR. He said the only real, true, valid tool for being able to craft light is a digital single lens reflex if you're using digital cameras. Anybody that uses a mirrorless camera is basically just a jumped up toy. All they want to do is use it in auto mode, and it's douchebag photography. They just want to kind of have something that does everything for them. I wanted to make this video because I actually now have completely moved away from Nikon gear. Nothing wrong with Nikon gear, before all the haters start. Loved my Nikon DSLRs. My D300 was a real workhorse for me. But I'm now using an X Pro 1 to film this, which those of you that know the channel will know, and I've just recently acquired the XT1. Now, the XT1 is absolutely brilliant. It allows me to work very smooth, very fast, very efficient in pretty much any professional situation, whether that be in the studio here or out on location in the field and working at events or places out on location. So he said to me, he said that he would challenge anybody to, anybody that would come along, he would absolutely smoke, mirrorless performance with his DSLR. So he said to me, because I wrote a comment and said that, I used an XT1 and it's perfect for doing professional work. And he said, all right then, Mr. Smarty Pants, I'll lay down you a challenge. I challenge you to shoot a 70 to 200 2.8 and then flip over, do a macro work with a macro lens on it, sort of one-to-one macro with a off-camera flash and get both those two shots in 20 seconds. If you reckon your mirrorless is so quick, so responsive, so easy to use, that's the challenge. Never one to back away from a challenge. I decided to take him up on that, and that's what this video is about. So what I'm going to do a portrait session with Manny the mannequin here. She's going to be standing in for the portrait bit, which I'm going to do with the long lens. And then I'm going to be doing a macro close-up shot, actually, of this Zoom microphone that I'm talking into now. So I'm going to do that with off-camera flash. So just run through the what I'm using for all of this. I'm going to be using the continuous lights that I'm using for the videos here in order to illuminate Manny. So I'm not going to be using a flash for the first part of the shot, simply because it adds an extra component for me to then do. I've got to then put the wireless radio trigger on top of the camera, all within the 20 seconds to then do the macro shot. So the first one is going to be continuous lighting coming off that softbox there. I hope you can see that just in the corner of the frame, but the one that's up there, that's going to be lighting her that way, and then the the reflective umbrella going that way is Phil. So that's what's lighting Manny. The second part, the macro part, I'm going to be actually, this microphone that I'm talking into is going to be doubling up as the thing I'm going to be taking the macro shot of. because I've got to put it down to take the pictures. So I might as well use that as the stand-in thing. So I'm going to be using that. Lens-wise, I am going to be using, actually, Ken challenged me to use a 70 to 200 2.8. I'm actually going to be using this 80 to 200 2.8 simply because that's the lens I happen to have and use. So I'll be using that, but I hope, Ken, you're all right with that choice. I don't think it's going to speed me up or slow me down any from the 70 to 200, so I hope that's all right with you. The reason I use this is because it's stonkingly good optics. It's stonkingly cheap compared to the 70 to 200, and it has a manual aperture ring on there as well, which means that I can use it on my Fuji bodies as well as on my Nikon bodies. So that's why I have that. Quick point, actually, as a side note, Ken actually said one of the most stupid things about mirrorless cameras was, what's the point in having these tiny lightweight bodies if you then put an enormous big lens on the front? And I completely agree. If you're out on, in the field, I don't want to carry that around any more than I want to carry my, that with my D300 hanging off the back of it. Frankly, it's too heavy and stupid. When I'm out on location, if I'm doing events, weddings, that kind of stuff, I use tiny little primes. So I don't tend to carry these big telephotos. But here in the studio, on the whole, I'm either on a tripod or I'm just, picking it up for a few shots and then I can put it down again. I'm not carrying it around my neck or my shoulder for 12 hours. So that makes a big difference. So yeah, totally agree, Ken. Totally agree with that. But in the studio, it makes no odds what the size of the cameras is, frankly. It's just on location. If you're out for 12, 15 hours straight, weight matters, and I wouldn't carry this combo for that. So anyway, that's that. When I move over to the macro setting, I'm going to be using the AF Micro Nikkor 105mm f2.8. This is one of Nikon's beautiful little macro lenses. I know Ken is a big fan of the 60mm version of this, which is also excellent. This one doubles up rather nicely as a good sort of portrait lens as well. It's relatively pocketable and easy to use, and again, because it's the older D type, it's got the proper aperture ring around the collar, so that makes it nice to use on the Fuji systems. I can, with an adapter, I can put it on the X-T1 or X-Pro 1, and that works all very nicely. Lastly, in order to light up the microphone, the off-camera flash system I'm using, he actually said speed light. I'm using a studio light. Again, I hope you don't mind that. I don't think, again, it's going to be an issue of speed one way or the other. I could have easily put a speed light in there and triggered it with a pocket wizard or anything. The system I tend to use for the studios, just because it fits these soft boxes on them, are these studio lights. And again, it's just a radio trigger that fits on the top. But the same can be done, with a pocket wizard and a speed light. Others are available. The Cactus systems work very well with mirrorless systems. The Yongnuo systems will work with some mirrorless systems and not with others. But find out what camera you've got and work out one that'll work with you. Certainly, if you want to use off-camera speed lights, battery speed lights, as opposed to studio lights, which again, if you're out on location, is a must, really, unless you have got Sherpas to carry around all these, plus external battery packs and light stands and everything else. Well, light stands I guess you'd need, but external battery and power or lots of cables or whatever, little speed lights are definitely the way to go on location. But in either case, with your mirrorless camera, there is zero problem in syncing them with radio triggers. So that's what I'm going to be doing for this. So that's it. I'm going to have a little stopwatch up on the screen. I've got 20 seconds from when the clock starts, and I've got to get these 2 shots taken. So, right, I'm going to put this down, and then the time starts. So we're going to go 1, 2, 3, go. Right, there we go. We'll put that down there. So I'll come over here. Natural light shot, first of all. There we go, and then I'm going to change lenses. I'm going to put this on here now. Move this off the table very quickly. And put the little radio trigger on. Set this up here. Get some focus going on. There we go, right. Done. Okay. I don't know what the time was. Hopefully somewhere close. I shall put those images up on the screen so that you can see those. And so there we go. I don't know what the time was. Hopefully I'm close to 20 seconds. I don't know. It's very exciting. I will stop this video. There'll be a little jump in edit, and then I'll come back having seen what the time is on the timestamp on the video, and then I'll give you my final thoughts. Okay, so as you can see from the timestamp there, I was resoundingly trounced by the clock, and it took me an entire 29 seconds to get a portrait shot done and a macro product shot. Oh, woe is me. So I lost the challenge by 9 seconds. However, I'm still going to call this a win for Mirrorless, because I don't think that a DSLR would have done that any faster, frankly. So I'm going to call it a win for Mirrorless, but I'm going to call it a win for photography, moreover, because it actually shows, in my mind at any rate, that there is now parity for this type of scenario, certainly between DSLR and Mirrorless. You know, any client where you say, you know, you will deliver them a portrait and a product shot, a close-up macro shot in 29 seconds, please. I mean, you know, anybody, you know, they're going to be delighted at that, right? And so anybody that, you know, that can deliver at that kind of pace, that sort of speed and accuracy, that's money right there. That's how to earn a living with a camera, right? So, you know, the fact that you can do that with a mirrorless camera these days is brilliant. And the reason it's a win for photography, moreover, is because it shows once again that with every new iteration of technology that comes out, that professional photographers poo-poo, it becomes accepted eventually. You know, the same thing happened when professional photographers moved from wet plate through to roll film. That wasn't professional enough, and then the roll film, you know, we started to get 35mm, like, you know, it was movie film originally, until Leica came along and put some movie film in a little metal box, and people thought that was stupid and amateurish and would never catch on. So these little tiny rangefinders that they were sort of walking around with, they were considered toys, and you're all right for the amateur but not for the pro. And then when the 35mm SLR came out, the same thing happened. You know, this was considered not, you know, proper photography. And then digital SLRs came out, and people said that digital SLRs weren't as good as film SLRs, and now mirrorless have come out, and people are saying they're not as good as DSLRs, and I don't know, whatever else comes out in the future, I can promise you they're going to say it's not as good as mirrorless. That's all I know. But the reality is this. None of those other things have died. You know, usage has waned and waxed over the years, of course. Maybe there aren't as many people using wet plate now, or roll film, as there were, or even 35mm film, but those things still exist, and DSLRs are not dead. Anybody that says they're dead is an idiot, frankly, because they're going to be around for a very long time. You know, you wait till the D5 comes out later on this year, or whenever it's going to be, and the replacement for the 1DX. These things are going to, you know, be dynamite cameras. But so are the next generations of mirrorless. Let's not shy away from this. That, you know, they're going to get, just in the same way that DSLRs have over the last 15 years, mirrorless cameras in 15 years' time and more. There's going to be this dynamite evolution every year. That's the way technology goes. They're going to be bigger and bigger and bigger hitters, and there's going to be more choice in our camera bags for us photographers that want to go out. And I think that's brilliant. So Ken, good luck with your DSLRs. I'm a big fan of DSLRs. You know, I love my D300, as I said, but I love my Fujis at the moment. I love those more, and that's a personal taste thing. They are both, as we've described, as we've demonstrated today, equally capable of doing a professional job. So that's it. I hope that is informative to anybody really that's considering whether or not, you know, mirrorless is the way to go. Is it going to replace DSLR? Absolutely not. Is it going to be alongside it and get better and better and better? And is it already a system that you can use in a professional context? Oh, hell yeah. So thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Cheers.